Hey there everybody, it's Kyle Fannin. I know it's been a long time since I made a video about anything, and this one wasn't very well planned, but my pastor at church just gave me this little recorder here. He told me that he wanted a little rundown of how it works. This is a Tascam, let's see, I believe, Tascam Dr-100Mkii 2. So, this little guy right here is kind of cool. I haven't been able to find very many things about it on YouTube, though. It's making me kind of mad. So, I've had a couple problems. At one point, I tried to format the disk, and or the SD card, sorry, and it just kind of crapped out on me. It just sat there and done its little spinny thing. So, I took the SD card out, and it just crashed. I managed to bring it back up somehow. Don't ask. I read some comments that some people were asking questions about not being able to get this onboard speaker here working. I had the same issue. I don't know how I fixed it. I'm not really sure. It just started working after I messed with it for long enough. Other than that, it's pretty counterintuitive. So, basically, you got quarter or eighth-inch jacks. You have a line in and a line out. So this you could run a quarter-inch into, a quarter-inch jack on a PA system, or something like that. Or you could run like a quarter-inch splitter to RCAs into a stereo system of some sort. And then you have a quarter-inch line in. I use this to plug my phone into it and record tracks down. That's pretty cool. You got some headphones, volume control for this onboard speaker, which honestly the onboard speaker is not very good unless I'm using it wrong. This hold here, so you switch that on and off. If you switch it on while the machine is on, you can't turn it off. So it's a lock. So if you give it to somebody, you can't turn it off. It tells you the hold's on, you need to switch it off. If you switch it off, then you can turn the machine off. Same goes if the machine is off and you turn this on, then nobody can turn it on and mess with your stuff if they don't know about that hold. And then you turn it off, or turn that hold off, and you can turn the machine back on. Then we have a DC, DC in 5 volts right there that charges the onboard lithium-ion battery. I'm not going to waste what batteries are in there. So it charges the onboard lithium-ion battery, which I'll get to in a second. And then you have USB, so you can connect to your computer. It'll charge that way, so I've heard, and I guess you can probably get files off. I haven't had this very long. So down here you have two XLR inputs, microphone or line in. You can switch back and forth between the two. You have a left and a right. You have audio controls for those right here. I'm doing this with a cell phone and one hand. Okay, anyways, if you hold this, the outside ring, and push the inside ring, they turn independent of each other, if you can see that, there we go, or they will turn together. So you use these, and it says right there, input, so the left is on the inside, and the right is on the outside, so the left input down here is on the inside, right is on the outside. And then depending on what input you're using, left is on the inside, right is on the outside. Omnidirectional, left right here where my finger is, left is on the inside, right is on the outside. So you can adjust the inputs. Here's where your inputs come in. You can switch between the XLRs down here on the bottom. You can switch to unidirectional, which is where you're going to use these ones up here on the top. That's going to be pointing right at you. If you're standing from the side trying to use those mics, it's not going to work very well. Where they're going to work the best is if you're talking straight at the mic like this, okay? So omnidirectional is the next input. Sorry. Omnidirectional is the next input. Omni is these two on the front. Omnidirectional is going to be good if you're going to set it flat on a table and use it to record the ambiance in an interview, things like that. My pastor's wanting to take it, set it up in a room, and let it record everything. So I'm going to recommend omnidirectional. The last one is line 2 input. Line 2, like I said, is this one over here on the side, right there, an 1/8 inch jack, 1/8 inch in. That will be used for auxiliary ends, such as phones, and things of that matter. Like I said, I plugged my computer in and just briefly recorded something. That was pretty cool. So, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lithium-ion battery on board this thing. It's stored right in here. To get that out, if you ever need to, you just push that little white tab up and shake it out. See, it starts to come out. I'm not going to take it all the way out. Push it in until it clicks. Little white tab will close. Just push this over. So it's got that you can charge internally with the DC power, and it's got batteries on the back. They work intermittently of each other. At the moment, the battery inside is dead, so I'm using some alkaline batteries in it just to run it, so I can figure it out. These inputs on the back I almost forgot about. The mic gain, so the recording level, or the level of the mic input, I got it set to high. There's a low, medium, high. Here's a auto or limiter. You can set that inside and turn it on and off. That's just going to limit so that you don't get peaking or clipping in your mic. So if things get a little loud, this is going to stop it from clipping and distorting, which is bad. Here's the on-off switch for the onboard speaker. Here is plus 48 volts for phantom power for condenser mics. So if you need that, okay. Here is a tripod adapter, so you can just screw your tripod on. I don't have that with me to show you. What am I forgetting? Okay, this right here is the remote or digital in. I'm not really sure about digital. I guess digital is just another type of recording out or in. So another way you could put something into it, input a device. And then you can also plug your remote in here. I'm not too sure because I don't have the right owner's manual, but I'm thinking that right there is an IR reader, or I believe that's what they call it, infrared. Yeah, an IR thing, so that the you can also get a wireless remote for this machine. So that's basically all the stuff on the outside. Oh, and here's your SD card up top. You just push that up. There's your SD card. If you want it out, press down on the SD card and it pops up. You can pull it out of there, and then you put it back in. Okay, so when you're going to fire it up, it's going to say that it wants you to format it, which I've already done. Remember, make sure this is switched off, which is the opposite way of the little arrow there, and press the power button. Hold it for a brief second. I didn't hold it enough. Let's see. Press, hold. There it is. Comes on. This is, I'm not sure what that said. It went too fast. Okay, see. Here's where the problems are going to hit me. I guess this is because I took the card out, like I said earlier. So I popped the card back out, and it just says no card. If I put it back in, it'll load. So it's gonna, okay. I can't remember what I did last time this happened, and I don't know why it is. I went to the menu, and I think I hit browse, and it said I had no cards, so then I put it back in. I don't know if anybody else has had this problem, but this is where I tried to format it, and it did this. It was working fine a minute ago, and I don't know. Like I said, it must have been where I took this card out just a second ago. We could try to, if this doesn't work. Something tells me it won't. Oh, no, it worked. Okay, yeah, it was just a little fidgety. I think the card might be kind of weird, you know. I don't know. I have no answer for that. But this says no music files, because if I go to browse, there are no music files, because this is a brand new card. So we got home. We got the speed of the playback. Looks like monitoring. This is the mode that it's in. That's high standard mode. There's two types of modes. A standard definition and a high, I guess it's high standard definition. High standard is recommended, they say. To switch those, when you power the machine off, when you go to power it back on, press the power button and the enter button here, and it'll ask you which mode you want to be in. Just switch to HS, and this tells you right there what mode you're in. Right there's your battery life. Here's your hour counter, hours, minutes, seconds. Pretty simple. I'm not sure what those little A's are there. dBs, decimals, tags, not really sure what that is. That shows whether you're using headphones or the onboard speaker. Right now it's on onboard speaker. Let me switch that off really quick. It's right here on the back. If we switch that off, it now shows that we're using headphones. At first, when I turned this thing on, it was showing me headphones, and no matter what I switched, it would not show me the onboard speaker like it is now. I don't know why that is. I've read comments that said people had the same issue, and I am not sure why. It doesn't make sense. Folders, not really too sure about that. I'm not sure what that is. Like I said, I have not had this thing very long, and I do not have a manual, but I haven't been able to find jack crap about it on YouTube, and it kind of upset me because nobody was answering questions that I had also. So I'm just going off what I've figured out, and maybe some people can help me also if they got any tips and pointers. So anyway, we have a menu here. So we have information. This gives you information about, I guess, the file types, I guess cards, probably there's the battery life, alkaline batteries, which is what I put in it. That's pretty neat. There's an auto off, brightness, you know, some things like that. Yeah, it shows probably the size of the card, or size of the music file, I see. Okay. So different things like that. If we go to browse, that's where we're going to be able to find all of our files, which I have none because this thing's new. Our playlist, if you make playlist, play mode, repeat, and a folder, so you can select a folder. Input mode, input mode. A guy said to turn monitoring off. I'm not sure what YouTube name he was, but he recommended turning monitor off, setting it to stereo, turning the low cut off. For those of you that don't know what low cut is for low frequencies, such as a bass, kind of like a bass voice, and you know, you want to cut. Well, hold on, how to explain that? Okay. So if you have a pair of speakers and you don't want something to go through the subwoofers in the speakers, then you would put a low cut filter on it. So typically, women's voices, tenor voices, you know, in a choir, would have a low cut on them because you don't want them sent to the subwoofer. You want to cut the low frequencies out of their voice so that they're not going to go to the subwoofer like a bass singer would. If you were to turn that on, you can switch between hertz. 120 seems like 120 hertz is the max hertz. That's probably full-blown, you know, that's what you'd want to put on a woman's voice, probably. For a man, you could go 80 to 40, but they said to turn it off. It doesn't really matter. If you're going to be outside, I would use it along with a windscreen for these two unidirectional, and I think it covers the Omni too. So I would definitely turn it on. And if you're going to have somebody with a lot of bass voice, or maybe a bass playing in the room, you might want to turn on a low cut filter to try and cut some of that out. Also, we got level control. We set it to limiter instead of auto. So auto would, I'm not sure quite the difference, but that's on the back where it says auto/limiter, and we turn that on so it'll limit to help save your speakers and help keep all the clipping out of there. Another recommendation that was made was in the recording, 24 bits, 96 kiloseconds, I believe, kilohertz, sorry, 96 kilohertz. I saw one comment somebody had that they didn't see 96 kilohertz. That's because this is an HS mode. Like I said, power it off. When you power it back on, hit the enter button along with the power button while you're holding it, and it'll ask for HS, high standards mode, or whatever it is. Put it in that, then you will find 96 kilohertz. 2 gigabytes, pre-record off, and delay off is what this guy said. And I agree with all that. It seems like those are good choices. From there, you know, this is just, you know, remote and digital in. You can kind of specify. Like I said, I don't have a manual, the right manual, I don't think. So in setup, you can go through contrast, dimmers, black lights, or backlights, initialize. You can do a format. I clicked on full format earlier, and it got stuck in a loop. So I'm not going to do that again. We're just going to leave it where it's at. So real quick, to record. So I/O loop, I'm not exactly sure what that is. It doesn't say. And then quick doesn't seem to do anything whenever I touch it. So if anybody can help me out with what those are, I'd love it. Playback controls, if you hold them, VCA, whatever that stands for, is on, and -31, I assume, is a normal speed for the playback. So that's that. Okay, so to record real quick, you can hit auto. So I assume, so you can select when it should restart recording, when it's going to end, what the decibel level should be, the time delays in between, the start level, what the decimals will be, and it should auto punch record, I believe is what that is meaning. So to record, you're going to press record, and if you can see, yeah, you see the blinking light, that means that it's armed or ready to record, and then you're going to hit it again, and you are now recording. Now I am on line 1, or line 2, sorry, so it's not going to record, so I'll switch to omnidirectional, and now you see that there is input. Over here is your peak, and your charge, so that shows it's charging. That shows if you're peaking or not. Let's see if we can hold this up, and this is the input adjuster. If I adjust it way up, you see the input changes, and you see that I don't see peaking, honestly, but if I were to yell, which I can't see if you can see that, but if I were to talk louder, there, the light came on. You saw that it was peaking. So you want to talk the loudest you're going to talk, and get this adjusted right below where you're going to peak. So if you're going to be yelling, you yell, and then once you yell, if it doesn't peak, then you're good. You should be able to pick up the whole sermon or whatever you're recording. To stop recording, if you want to take a brief pause, you can just hit play/pause, and see it'll start blinking again, and it's just temporarily paused. And then when I want to start going again, I can press play, we're recording again, okay? And then when you're finally done, and you want to wrap it up, just hit stop. Then from this point on, if you hit record again, it's going to start a new track. So if I hit record, it's going to blink, record again, it's starting from 0 again, okay? So then we can stop. Then we can go, if we want to play back. Record again, it's starting from 0 again. There's the onboard. If we want to, okay, it's all the way up to 10. So as you can hear, it's not very loud. Let's see. Well. Omnidirectional. There you go. Now you see that there is input. Over here is your peak. So see, it's not very loud. If I want to switch to the next one, the other one I did, then I would go here to browse. You can see I have 2 files. That's where I had none before. I can click on the second one and hit play. Record again. It's starting from 0 again. There you go. That's the second one. So that's how you record. If you want to delete those, go back to menu, press browse, click on it, and I'm going to delete them both because, like I said, this is for my pastor, and this is just a quick little tutorial just to show everybody how to get started. I know it wasn't a very planned video, not very pretty, filming it here on my floor, so I just wanted to run through this, show everybody what's going on with this thing. It is a very nice product, very well made. I do like it a lot, and you know, as my pastor asked me questions about it, and I go on with working and helping him with it. If anybody has any questions, I can try to answer them, but I will not have this machine once I give it back to him. So basically anything else I figure out will be kind of my common sense, because, you know, I do own a Tascam recorder myself, as you can see on my channel, so I do know how their products work, and this is pretty counterintuitive. Like I said, I did not have a manual, so everything I found out already within the past, you know, 10 minutes that I messed with it before the video, I did find out by myself. So, so if you have any questions, ask me. I will try to answer them. Like I said, I will not have this machine after I give it back to him. Now that I know what he wanted to know about it, I'm going to pass on the information to him, and I will no longer have the machine unless he asks me more questions about it. Then I'll be able to mess around with it a little more. But if you have any questions, just let me know. Leave your questions in the comments, and like and subscribe. Bye.